Today's episode is brought to you by Musical Theater Radio's merch store. Looking for that perfect gift for someone or just want to treat yourself to some great musical theater themed merch? Head to musicaltheaterradio.com and click on the All Things Theater button on the homepage and check out all the different designs available. And now, today's interview. Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. If you are looking for a musical to see, today's episode is for you. Now, if you are in Latrobe, Pennsylvania on May 17th, 2025, head over to St. Vincent College to check out the musical Romero and Juliet. To tell us all about the concert and how it came to be are Scott Logsdon, Aaron Gandy, and Allison Guinn. Hello to the three of you.
Hello, Jean-Paul.
Hello.
Awesome.
Happy to be here.
I'm glad to have the two of you back. And Allison, welcome for the first time. So thank you all for coming out. So before we get into the concert and the show, I always ask for a 30-second bio because we got to get to know who you are. Now, I'm going to let Scott go first. So Allison, you get to see how this is done, how they do it, and then you can top them.
Yeah, I'll just copy whatever I did.
Exactly. Copy and paste. So Scott, who are you in 30 seconds?
I am a triple Scorpio, former teen detective, former barricade stormer. I write, I collect Starbucks mugs and Trader Joe's bag. Trader Joe's is my personal Disney, and of course I love musical theater.
Did anybody know any of this stuff? Like some of these we knew, but
how did you do that? That was so great.
You wrote that ahead of time, I know.
Actually, I didn't. I just didn't want anybody to, was it swipe left?
Well, then, Aaron, it's up to you to let people not swipe left.
I will not top that. I'm a New York City-based music director, conductor, songwriter, arranger, orchestrator, everything else in the music department. And I'm thrilled to be working with Scott Logsdon and Allison on this insanely exciting concert premiere that we're doing next month.
Perfect. And Allison, who are you in 30 seconds?
Oh God. I've been asking that question for a long time now to myself. I'll just go with my Instagram little title. Actor, auto harpist, silly goose.
Yay!
She left out brilliant and incredibly talented and wonderfully sweet.
Very, very kind.
We may have to explore the goose aspect a little bit later, but put it in for now.
Great.
So now, Aaron and Scott, we talked back in December, and when you were first on the show, we got introduced to it, and we found out all about it. Lots of things have obviously happened since then. So could you give us a little recap of, a quick overview of, the synopsis, why you wrote it, and then how we got to this point in the concert?
Aaron, do you want to do the synopsis or?
I'm happy to, sure. About the synopsis of the show or how we came to write it?
A little of yes and both.
A little of all the above. Okay, so the brilliant, wicked, dark, frighteningly, blazingly talented brain of Scott Logsdon had this idea for a show. And basically it was Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet meets George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. And I said, I'm on board. It was that straight up. But what really got me strapped in tight was when he had the idea to set the show in the 1980s. And that the score would harken to the 80s. And I'm an 80s kid. I'm a 70s kid, actually. So I was in my peak middle and high school years in the 80s. So I absorbed all that straight line intravenous. And that I just wake up and I'm in that music world. So that was an easy yes for me on top of an already count me in. So that's how we came to find ourselves working away on it. And the show is the expected story of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, but entirely tweaked, flipped on its head, and turned inside out. So it's familiar and yet utterly fresh and brand new at the very same time. Juliet is a zombie, and Romero is a human, and His dad is a military fellow who swears he's going to eradicate the world, zombies from the world. And so, of course, the last person Romero should fall in love with is a beautiful young zombie. But of course, that's exactly what he does. And troubles ensue, shall we say. Is that good enough, Scott?
Yes. One important thing you left out: everybody dies. Spoiler alert.
Oh boy.
I guess I should have said spoiler alert first. If you know the show, that's
they're
not
zombies, so anything death isn't the end. So
Yeah,
exactly.
You spoiled a 500-year-old plot.
Oh my.
Yeah.
oh man.
Jesus
man.
Christ Superstar. Spoiler warning. There's a crucifixion. So we just, and the seeds of this show happened about 10 years ago because a friend of mine was auditioning for Romeo and Juliet, the non-zombie, non-musical. And I'm the world's worst typist because when I type something, I see what I meant to write. And as I was typing, I typed Romero. And my friend was like, what are you talking about, Romero? And I was like, what? And then I looked, it's like, oh. And then like a little light went off in the back of my head where I was like, Shakespeare and zombies. That's kind of cool. And Aaron and I were getting ready to premiere our musical, The Crinolines in Concert. And we're, thinking ahead. And I said, hey, I had this idea a while ago. And as he said, I pitched it. And there we went, off and running.
Nice. So I'm curious, how did you get from where we were in December and to now? How did this concert come about?
I don't like wasting time, as we talked about in our little mini Oprah moment in the last show. I had cancer, and having been in remission, I don't take time for granted the way that you can when you're younger and you're kind of oblivious to everything. So I need to keep busy. I need to be doing something. And we had finished the demos that we released on Halloween appropriately for this show. And we hit the new year, and I was like, okay, got to get something going. And I had seen a production of Jersey Boys in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, which is just east of Pittsburgh. And the guy who played, is it Tommy DeVito? Is that the Christian Hoff role? Blew my mind. He was so good. And I was like, I really want to work with him. And I thought, he'd be good as the dad. So I emailed him and a company in Greensburg, which is Latrobe adjacent, and said, hey, so we have this show. You like to do the dark, edgy stuff. We're thinking about putting a concert version of the show together. And the company was like, heck yeah, we want to jump on that. And Vinny Tresco, the guy who's going to play Romero's dad, was like, yeah, count me in. I would love to be part of it. So that sort of started the ball rolling. And then, all the icky business stuff, finding a venue, all that stuff. And we're thrilled. So here we are, and we're lighting up, and could not be more thrilled to have Allison Guinn playing Nessa, the character that is the equivalent in our version of Juliet's nurse. And Allison had done a concert version of a show that I wrote with a really terrific composer named Steve Marzullo, called Joyce Jackson's Guide to Dating. And we did that at 54 Below. And, and again, sorry, Allison, I'm going to embarrass you. And I know you hate that, but I mean, she's crazy talented. She's one of the nicest people on the planet. Some people just have the funny. And, if it's, Gilda Radner or Goldie Hawn or whomever, they just have that little chromosome where they're not trying to do something funny. They're doing things from an honest reality, and the funny is there. So
it helps. Thank you. It really helps if you have an awkward childhood. So
I think that's a whole other episode we can do.
Thanks, childhood. Thank you.
So,
nice.
But it's true. So to have her on board is just a dream come true.
Oh, thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, let's jump to you, Allison, then. So how did you find out about it? Obviously, you had a relationship already with Scott, with his shows and stuff like that. How did you find out about it? And then how did you react once you started reading it and finding what it was about?
Okay, so I saw it on social media, and I was like, this is a brilliant idea. And then I and then about a month ago, I got a voice message from Scott, and I was babysitting my friend's kid at the same time. So weirdly enough, I was being thrown up on. So it was very zombie movie like. And I didn't get the whole message until like 2 days later, and I recovered. But yes, I jumped on the chance because it sounded like a brilliant idea. And ever since the pandemic, I've always been a horror movie freak. I loved it. I love it. Piper Laurie's performance in Carrie is what made me want to be an actor, because you can't tell if it's comedic or truly terrifying, which fascinated me. And that kind of stuff fascinates me still. And so when I read the script, I was like, oh my God. And he's written a whole zombie language. It's like Dothraki. It's really, really. This is my brain exploding. I'm sorry. I know this is an audio medium. Yeah, my brain exploded, and then I scooped it up and read the rest of it. And it's just really great. I'm excited.
I'm glad you scooped it out quick, because if there's other zombies, they would have eaten it.
Yeah, I mean,
two scoops.
Yeah, it's like Raisin Bran, but Raisin Brain. There we go.
Brain. Got it.
Well, I may have to steal that, because in the show, the kids meet at a concert called Deadstock, which is headlined by Notre Dame, who is our stand-in for Madonna. And also on the bill that night, they're only referenced. They're not in the show. Maybe in the movie they'll be in it. But we have the Grateful Undead.
Nice.
Of course. Yes. You have to.
So let's talk about, we obviously have the talented Allison in there. Talk about some of the other people you've got involved in the show.
We put a casting net out through, Western Pennsylvania, and Carnegie Mellon University and Point Park University are, very close in proximity. We have a boy playing Romero who graduated from my alma mater, and it pains me to say their name because I didn't like the school very much when I went there, but Shenandoah University. And our Cutio, who is our version of Mercutio, went to Point Park and played Rolf in The Sound of Music at Pittsburgh CLO. And out of the blue, we got a ton of submissions from kids at Slippery Rock University, which is just north of Pittsburgh. And I knew they had a program, and I knew it was supposed to be good. My jaw shattered. It was like powerhouse after powerhouse after powerhouse. So our Juliet is from Slippery Rock. Her name is Veronique Shayer. She's kind of Deborah Winger, terms of endearment era, like early that character, but she sounds like Pat Benatar. And Shay Curran, who's playing Romero, is very Timothy Hutton in Ordinary People, with this crazy high voice, and the same with Samuel Green, who's playing Mercutio. And a Slippery Rock alum named Alana Mallory is playing Richmond, who is the Tybalt/Bernardo character. And she understudied and went on for Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill at Pittsburgh CLO last year. So I'm going to forget people. So if they're listening, sorry, I'll bring you baked goods to rehearsal.
You're all amazing.
But they literally, it was like a dream cast. Oh, and this girl named Sam Carter auditioned, and we called her back for the Madonna character. She sent us a video, and Aaron can chime in. Like, it was literally like watching a Madonna video. She looks like her. She had the sass. She came in. She sang her face off. And in a weird little twist, one of my last stage appearances was playing King Herod in Jesus Christ Superstar at the Strand Theater in Zelienople, which is north of Pittsburgh, very close to where they filmed Night of the Living Dead. And her dad runs that theater. So it's kind of this confluence of all these amazing people being drawn into the orbit of the show at the right time.
Very cool. Aaron, I'd love to hear about some of the creative team, the directors, etc.
Well, Scott will be our director, and this presentation is a concert presentation, so it is, people on stage, band in full view. We will have some backup singers, because some of our favorite 80s songs always seem to have this group of folks in the background, helping support the vocals. Scott, why don't you tell us a little more about the way the show is being presented?
It's being done in concert, so it's basically like encores. The encore series in New York was originally with music stands, and people will walk down and they will read, and then they will sing their faces off and melt the theater. And it just gives us a chance to take the show on a test run and see what works in front of an audience and what doesn't work, so we can address that, because we've gotten a lot of terrific interest and feedback on the show just on the title and the tagline. So we really want to have it ready at the gate to go.
Nice. Allison, I'd love to talk about your character, and just playing it. Is there stuff you relate to it, etc.? Tell us a little bit about the process you go through with the character and the character itself.
Nessa is my girl. She is ride or die for Juliet. And, I like that she isn't passive. And you'll find out when you see her find out about the show. But how she differs from the nurse character, but she is not the lilting flower, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Wring my hands kind of nurse that you get in Romeo and Juliet. She is a force to be reckoned with, and that's what I appreciate about the character, and that's what I want to hopefully explore going into it, being more rock and roll gung-ho that kind of person. Because when you're in a zombie movie, you gotta be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be the final girl. You don't want to be the one dead before the opening credits.
You can't go. You can't. You got to be aggressive. Yeah.
And one of the things that Aaron said that cracked me up when we started writing, and I had sent him, the first draft of the script, and he said, "Oh my God," he's like, "I love that the nurse is kind of like, the mom who's trying to be cool, who would like buy beer for the kids, but then."
I'm a cool man.
But that has this complete flip side that's very interesting, and so that cracked me up.
Yes. Nice. Just as long as you do it in the house, I don't care. Just don't drive anywhere.
So I'd love to hear from you guys. There's lots of people who listen to this who are writers, and they're always looking for a bit, opportunities to put on their stuff. I'd love to hear your point of view and maybe some, tips of what people should do to get their stuff, or how to approach people about that. I'd love to hear your experience.
I'm getting my notebook out for this. Hold on.
I think there's so many fantastic, gifted artists out there who are creating music theater of so many different stripes that the challenge becomes how to get someone's attention in 8 seconds or less. Because so many theaters who are doing things have so many things being pitched at them nonstop. And when you stumble across an idea like this one that has such a good elevator pitch, people immediately sort of know the frame of reference. They know the source material. They think they know what a zombie musical would be like, and they kind of go, ooh. So it's hard to overstate the importance of a solid elevator pitch, and one that excites, and one that lets an audience, let's say a prospective theater producer know what kind of vibe you're going for here. This is not the last 5 years, nor is it Parade. It doesn't have a weighty political mindset, although there's plenty of depth to this script, which I'll let Scott talk about if he wants to. But it does sort of swing for the fun. And that is something that I find that people are very welcome to hear more about, as opposed to some of the heavier topics that some music theater aims toward. And I'm for all kinds of music theater in the world, all kinds. There's room for all kinds. But I find that it helps if you have a solid elevator pitch that lets the listener know right away what you're after. In this case, we framed this as a show the size of Little Shop of Horrors and the fun vibe of. So when we invoke that show in our elevator pitch, people immediately know right away, okay, it's a cast of less than 10. It's probably a band of 5 or so, probably a single unit set with some small pieces. They can instantly picture the practical requirements of such a production. And then we can have a nuts and bolts conversation about whether that's something their theater is capable and interested in doing, or if it's beyond their theater, or if it's not interesting at all. But you can at least get on the board quickly with such a well thought out pitch.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would just add on to that, which was so eloquently stated. I think as a writer, you have to know who your audience is, and you're going to want to approach theaters that do something, and you don't want to go to a theater that has done something exactly like your show, but you want it to be a show that would appeal to that demographic. Mm-hmm. And you can't be afraid to hear someone tell you no, because that is 98% of what we do. And you can't personalize it, and you can't let it derail you where you get a rejection letter. And again, I'm the king of having gone full fetal early on in my career if I would get, a no. It's just part of the landscape, and it's not personal. People are trying to put, pardon my French, bottoms in the seats. And, it has to, if you want, sort of a commercial or a regional production, it has to be something that is going to draw an audience. Now, if you have a great theater that wants to do avant-garde stuff, that's amazing. Take it there. But again, I just think you have to know who are you writing for? What is a theater that draws that kind of audience? And have a plan B if somebody tells you no.
That's some great points, especially that end one about, we are going to hear no's. That's just part of the business. And that doesn't mean anything about you, right? That just, you have to, and so many people take it to heart, take it personally that we didn't get chosen. Well, then I'm terrible, or what. I'm like,
still learning that lesson now.
I mean, unless they look at you and say, you're talentless, we hate you, everythting about you makes me want to vomit. It's not personal. So don't personalize what isn't personal. Just shake it off. Be like a puppy who's learning, to go down the steps. It's going to fall down, and it just jumps up and goes, hey, I'm going to do that again. So it helps to have good friends and a good support network.
It really does.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic advice. And a lot of us forget that. Even when we know it, we forget it because we're in the moment and we get so wrapped up, and we just got to remember what you guys said today is just let us slide off your back next time. Congratulations to all of you for the concert that's coming up. We need some information about you. How do people get to know more about you? What's going on, about the show, etc., the socials, the websites, etc. Allison, I'll start with you. How do people learn more about Allison?
Well, you can go to my Instagram. It's at Allison, ALLISON.GUINN. And that basically is the keyhole to the world, the really boring world that is.
Sharon?
Scott and I basically are sharing the promo social media handles for the show. So Scott, can you articulate what those are for anybody who's interested in this production or any of our other stuff?
Yes, we have an Instagram account for the show, and it's something Romero and Juliet, which there's really not anything else out there that I can think of. And we just started TikTok and are putting up fun videos because the original film Night of the Living Dead is now public domain.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm having all kinds of fun taking clips from the movie and mixing them in with stuff for our show. There will be an announcement, because tickets won't go on sale till May 1st. So come May 1st, there will be a huge press blitz. And if somebody, Googles Romero and Juliet, Latrobe, everything should come up. As you mentioned, the show is being done at the Robert S. Carey Performing Arts Center on the campus of St. Vincent College. It's a beautiful space. It's where we did the Crinolines in concert. It's just outside of Pittsburgh. And I think that's it. I'll be quiet.
Hey, Scott, for people who don't know, like I didn't know, can you please explain the connection between Southwest PA and the film Night of the Living Dead?
Oh, yes. Thank you. So, Night of the Living Dead was filmed just north of Pittsburgh in a town called Evans City back in the 1960s. And, it was kind of the Blair Witch Project of the day, where it was done, on a budget of like, a jar of peanut butter, 5 nickels, and some, masking tape. And it became this phenomenon. And then the sequel, Dawn of the Dead, was filmed at the Monroeville Mall, which was the big mall in the Pittsburgh area back in the day. Mm-hmm. So when we started working on the show, and I was like, okay, it's got to be in southwestern Pennsylvania, because in the world of the show, Romero, our leading man, is a distant relative of George Romero, the filmmaker, which is why the zombies hate the Romeros, because George Romero let the cat out of the bag that they existed. And then I was like, wait. And I Googled, Google is one of my best friends. There's a Verona, Pennsylvania, right by Evans City. So
Hooray!
so I was like, oh my God, again, meant to be. And in the movie Night of the Living Dead, there's a sequence where they're showing newscasters talking about the zombies, and they have the little, what are they called? Chirons that go across the bottom of the screen. And there's one for Greensburg, which is the town where Split Stage Productions is based. And then there's one for Latrobe, which is where the concert is going to be produced. So it just seemed very fortuitous that all these southwestern Pennsylvania things were coming together, which is why I was like, we've got to do the premiere here, because I think, knock wood, that should really get people's attention.
For sure. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Very smart. Before we go, I gotta ask, is there anything, I know you're busy with this, but is there anything you're working on that you want to promote and let people know about? Allison?
I have my own podcast that talks about murder ballads. It's called Some Dark Holler.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear this.
With them since my granny taught me Knoxville Girl as a little kid. We go through, we sing the original ballad, and then we tell if there's a true crime story behind it, we tell the origin of that. And then we rewrite the song, the murder ballad. So the victim has their comeuppance, their revenge, so to speak, because many of the victims are women, sadly.
Yeah.
So Some Dark Holler. If you type that in wherever you see podcasts, you should see us.
Nice.
Very nice. That's cool.
Aaron, you and Scott have anything going on that you want to promote? I know you're working on this, but
I'll go next, Scott. I'm very happy to say that I just recorded 2 cast recordings this month, which hopefully will be out later this year. The first was the studio cast recording of a 1927 musical written by Vincent Youmans, who is famous for having composed the music for No No Nanette and Tea for Two. And in his day, in the 1920s, he was every bit as big of a star as George Gershwin was, and Rodgers and Hart, and Kern, and even before Cole Porter became Cole Porter. Youmans was one of the leading lights at the early mid-20s. And his second hit show, his follow-up to No No Nanette, was a couple years later. It was called Hit the Deck. And if that title is familiar, it's because there was a 1950s MGM version starring Ann Miller and Jane Powell and a bunch of other fantastic people, Russ Tamblyn. And so the title has lived on, but there was never a proper studio cast recording. So I'm thrilled to say that we started recording it on Long Island in March, and we'll finish that this summer at some point. And the other recording project is something near and dear to my heart. I'm happy to serve as the artistic advisor to the K Swift Trust. And if you don't know K Swift, you should. She was the first female composer of a hit Broadway musical, which was Fine and Dandy in 1930. And she was often remembered for that, being a trailblazer for women artists in the early 20th century, but also for her 12-year-long romance with George Gershwin. So he's in the history books for a couple of reasons. Anyway, I was happy to a couple of weeks after recording the Human score, I went to London and recorded an album of K Swift's Broadway songs, which we did half the album, just like we did the Humans half. And this summer we will finish the other half of that album, and then perhaps later this year it can get released. And it's just basically a selection of her songs, some famous, some obscure, from her various Broadway projects and film projects, Hollywood projects, for her whole career. So those are two fun things I'm working on right now that have me very chuffed.
Nice. Well, I know we're gonna have you back on once those are to
That'd be
promote
nice.
those. That'd be awesome. Congrats on that.
Thank
And
you.
Scott, yourself, do you have anything that you're working on that you want to promote outside of course, the Romero and Juliet?
Um, Honestly, that's kind of taking up all my brain space at the moment. I do have the show with Dana Rowe, who wrote The Witches of Eastwick and The Fix, and his own zombie show, Zombie Prom. It's an affectionate homage to Hallmark and other TV holiday movies called 12 Days Till Christmas. We had done a Zoom table read during the pandemic. We had Carrie Butler, Andy Carl, Anna Harada. It was terrific. And then pandemic. And Jerry Mitchell has been attached because he wants to direct it as a movie. So there, Jerry, circling back to what I said earlier about not wanting to hear no, but hearing it. Jerry gave me one of my favorite bits of advice where he said, it's always a long road to yes. He said fast no's are fast and furious, but it's a long road to yes. So, we're still hoping something happens with that. And, but, we're just really, really thrilled to get to share Romero because Aaron has written such spectacular music. I mean, we have Madonna songs, we have Pat Benatar, we have Blondie, we have Bon Jovi, we have Boy George, we have Queen Latifah. So it's this really beautiful, fun, rich musical palette. And his work on this cannot be underestimated or underappreciated because it's really, really. We have a Jim Steinman song. So we're thrilled. And just to chime in, yes, Allison, I did write my own zombie language because and of course at first I got way too in my head because I was like, okay, so zombies come from Africa and Haiti. So I was like doing Google Translate into Haitian patois and the South African language and then trying to mush them together, but it was more guttural than German or like Russian. It was like
yes.
I was like, a killer. I mean, a singer is going to kill me. So I tried to make it more vowel centric, where there are like lots of and things that aren't going to destroy the voice before the boy playing Romero has to sing like 32 high B flats in a song.
Listener, let me tell you that in the script I'm reading, and then you go back, it has its own glossary, this language. So I'm not kidding.
Yes. Yes.
Hardcore.
I'm gonna have to go into Duolingo now and look this up.
Me too.
Z's bougie. Is this is BS? So
congratulations once again to all of you. I wish I could get down there for the show, but it's a bit far, and I don't even know if I'm available that weekend actually. But I wish you all the best. Let's all keep in touch because I always want to know what's happening with everybody. And all the best and with the show. Thanks.
And if I could chime in right before you cut the thing off, and we just want to say thank you to you again, because what you do is so amazing and so crucial and helps so many artists and so many people, that just a huge, huge thank you to you for having come up with the idea of this and doing all the behind the scenes work, which I am sure is headache inducing to the nth degree at times. And just, you are such a pleasant, supportive individual that if the world of musical theater were filled with people like you, it would be a much better place.
Hear, hear.
Well, thank you. I'm going to have to clip that and use that somewhere. So,
as your hype person, I say yes, you should absolutely. And it's all true.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for saying
Thank you.
that. And yeah, it's great to have you on. So again, thank you to the three of you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we were just speaking with Allison, Aaron, and Scott, who are all involved in the musical Concert of Romero and Juliet, which, if you are in Latrobe, Pennsylvania on May 17th, go see that at St. Vincent College. And always just support all new musicals because they're so important to get heard and get seen. And I've said this many times, but today's new musicals are tomorrow's classics. So discover them now so you can say, I knew them when they do become big. All right, tune in next week as we speak with another guest or a guest about their life, love, and passion that is musical theater. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.